So I've made videos discussing the histories of every Olympic mascot and every Paralympic mascot. And quick note, make sure you go watch those before watching this video. And for the sake of completion, in today's video, I'll be discussing the history of every Youth Olympic mascot. And there's not really that many of them, because the first one came in 2010, so yeah, there's not really that many of them. Nevertheless, it must be done, because I don't think I'd ever have a good time to do this again. And just like the mascots in the previous videos, I'll be giving each mascot in this video a score, and at the end we'll see who I consider to be the best Youth Olympic mascot. I've already done this 2 other times, so I'm sure you get the idea by now. And before we begin, a subscription and a like would be greatly appreciated, and if you won't, feel free to leave who your favorite Youth Olympic mascot is. And with that now out of the way, let's begin. So first up, we have 2 mascots. They came during the 2010 Summer Youth Olympic Games that took place in Singapore, and these were the mascots, Leo and Merle. We'll take a look at Leo first, who is a lion, and his name is short for Lion of the Youth Olympics. And a lion was chosen as the mascot due to its history in Singapore. Most notably, the country of Singapore gets its name from Singapura, which means Lion City. Then the other mascot, Merle, is a merlion, which is a mythical creature that has the head of a lion and the body of a fish. And the merlion is actually the official mascot of Singapore. The mer in Merle's name means sea, and the ly at the end of her name stands for liveliness and youthfulness. Leo and Merle get a 6.5 out of 10. Next is the mascot for the 2012 Winter Youth Olympic Games that took place in Innsbruck, Austria. And the mascot this time around was an alpine chamois named Yogel. And first off, I want to mention how weird the mascot costume for him looks. Well, he looks like he can taste colors. Anyways, moving on from that. Yogel gets his name from Yogel, which is a Tyrolean nickname for Jacob, but it has a YOG at the beginning of it, for Youth Olympic Games. Yogel is meant to represent nature, the lifestyle and geography of Austria, modernity, youth, and athleticism. His interesting choice of clothing, specifically his overalls with a pixel design, is meant to merge traditional style with modern elements. Yogel gets a score of 6 out of 10. The next mascot came during the 2014 Summer Youth Olympic Games that took place in Nanjing, China. And the mascot this time was a, jelly bean? Oh, no. He's actually a Yuwa stone named Nanjing Lele, but is usually referred to as Lele. A Yuwa stone is a colorful stone that is most commonly associated with Nanjing, China, the location where the games were held that year. And the colors on Lele all have specific meanings because, of course they do. The red represents enthusiasm, the blue represents kindness and selflessness, the yellow represents motivation and initiative, and finally the green represents adhering to vitality and a peace-loving spirit. Lele, aka Jellybean, gets a 4 out of 10. Next up is the mascot for the 2016 Winter Youth Olympic Games that took place in Lillehammer, Norway, and the mascot was a lynx named Skjog. I'm like 99% sure I said that wrong. And the name Skjog actually means snow in this location. I'd probably have a stroke if I tried to pronounce that. And this location that I can't pronounce is the valley where Lillehammer is located. Skjog, once again, I probably said that wrong, was chosen by a vote, and the other competitors consisted of a moose and a weasel, and with 1,462 votes, Skjog pulled off a win, narrowly beating the weasel mascot by 30 votes. Skjog's design gets a 5 out of 10. The next mascot was a jaguar named #Pandy? Pondy? And yes, there is an actual hashtag in his name. It's very strange. #Pandy was the mascot for the 2018 Summer Youth Olympic Games that took place in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And the reason behind the very strange hashtag in his name is because it was meant to emphasize the online presence of the games that year. And the pandy in his name comes from the scientific name for jaguar, and that's pretty much all there is to say about him. #Pandy gets a rating of 5 out of 10. Next up is the mascot for the 2020 Winter Youth Olympic Games that took place in Lausanne, Switzerland, and the mascot this time was a hybrid of a few animals, named Yodely. And if you're wondering where his name comes from, it comes from the word yodeling. And like I said before, Yodely is a hybrid of a few animals. These animals consist of a cow, a goat, and a Saint Bernard dog. The use of different animals was meant to represent the diversity of the participants in the games for that year. And Yodely's color of blue was meant to represent the lakes in Switzerland. Yodely's design gets a 5.5 out of 10. And now we jump from 2020 to 2024. to take a look at the most recent youth Olympic mascot. There was meant to be an event in 2022, but it ended up being cancelled, and it was pushed off to 2026. And as far as I'm aware, the mascot for that event has not been revealed yet. So back to 2024. The mascot for this year is a living snowball named Mungcho. And Mungcho was the mascot for the Winter Youth Olympic Games that took place in Gangwon, South Korea. Mungcho is interesting because he's directly related to the 2018 Olympic and Paralympic mascots, Sureng and Bondabi. In his official backstory, Mungcho was created from a snowball fight between Sureng and Bondabi, and then went on to inherit Sureng and Bondabi's sportsmanship. And this was the first time that the Youth Olympic mascot had any sort of relationship with either an Olympic mascot or Paralympic mascot. Mungcho's name comes from this Korean word, which means to gather as one. I'm gonna give Mungcho's design a 7 out of 10. So that was the history of every Youth Olympic mascot, and yeah, it was quite short. But if this is going to be my last Olympic mascot video, I'm going to make sure I cover everything I can. So before we end, I want to take a look back at the 3 unofficial Olympic mascots that I did not discuss in my Olympic mascots video. So let's get right into it. So the first unofficial mascot we'll be looking at is Kappa, who was, well, it's hard to even consider him a mascot at all. During the 1964 Summer Olympic Games that took place in Tokyo, Japan, there was a pin set of a Kappa mascot. And a Kappa, if you don't know, is a mythological creature in Japanese folklore. And in one of the pins, said Kappa appeared next to the Olympics logo. And for some reason, this was enough for him to be considered an unofficial mascot. Next is the unofficial mascot for the 1968 Summer Olympic Games that took place in Mexico City, Mexico. And here's the mascot, a jaguar named Chocmol. Now, as far as I'm aware, the only appearances of Chocmol is as a plush toy and as a cartoon character. I'm not exactly sure what the cartoon character version of the mascot was used for, but it has a great design regardless. Chocmol's design comes from this statue of a pink or red, I can't really tell, jaguar that has green spots that was found in this pyramid in Mexico. And the statue that the mascot was based off of can even be seen on the plush toys tag. Next is the final unofficial mascot left to discuss, and it was a bear named Taku-chan, who was the unofficial mascot for the 1972 Winter Olympic Games that took place in Sapporo, Japan. Taku-chan appeared in many forms of merch that could be purchased in Seiko shops. In case you don't know Seiko, it's a watch manufacturer from Japan. And there was even a piggy bank version of Taku-chan created by Takushoku Bank, which alongside Seiko was a sponsor of the games for that year. I find it funny how in most images of Taku-chan he's wearing a watch, and I can only assume it's a Seiko watch. I also like this image of him with a gun. It feels oddly threatening with him looking directly at the camera. And with that, I think I'm done discussing Olympic mascots. And I gotta say, I'm quite glad to be done. So for my Youth Olympic Mascots ranking, I have Yogel in 3rd place, Leo and Murley in 2nd place, and then I have Mungcho as my favorite Youth Olympic mascot. And for a quick ranking of the 3 unofficial mascots, I'll give 3rd place to Kappa, 2nd place to Taku-chan, and 1st place goes to Chocmol. And with that, we are officially done. But before you go, a subscription and a like would be greatly appreciated if you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave who your favorite Youth Olympic mascot is, or your favorite unofficial mascot, I don't care. And with that, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.